find significantly under the family living wage.
The professional Radeon teacher salary is the number one driver to increase GDP, and the U.S. is falling behind in math technology.
It's one of our concerns that we're trying to make adequate investment in all of public education so that each and every school in this country is able to get a decent education. And we're falling short.
But increased salaries seem unlikely at times. Even at times when education spending increased, it still didn't impact salaries. On top of that, there are a lot of teachers out there, about 3.5 million in fact.
It's hard to tackle teacher compensation because it's so that there's always a feeling that any solution somebody loses, and so how do you get out of this zero-sum winners and losers kind of situation?
To close the API teacher compensation gap, Andrew Biggs estimates that it would cost roughly $29 billion. The CARES Act included $13.2 billion in direct funding for K-12 public education, but that was less than 2% of total public education funding. An additional relief from Congress is uncertain at the moment. Karen works with school districts around the country to figure out how to reallocate available money to maximize results. She says one viable solution is creating leadership roles. In Washington, D.C., for example, teachers can make upward $130,000.
The way they funded that was at first they got outside support, grant support, and helped to fund the transition to a new salary structure. Then they transitioned to a new salary and worked in the toughest assignments significantly. They speed it up by reducing staff. Also in the salary structures, it means probably giving less money for every additional year and leaving the raises instead to change the role. Experience matters, but experience matters if it's leading to good teaching.
Washington, D.C. is just one of the over 13,500 school districts in the U.S. While the Red for Ed movement resulted in states increasing salaries, a complete overhaul of fee structures in professions such as the one in Washington, D.C. could take a long time running in resistance.
People get into teaching, really do get into it for some very altruistic notions. For this to be a sustainable profession, we have to build a model that's financially sustainable for people. Otherwise, what will be is a revolving door profession, where people come in, hang out as long as they can, and then leave to go make money. And that's not what we want. We know that the best teachers come from experience, they come from commitment, and they come from the willingness to stay, really learn about the communities, learn their curriculum, learn their craft.
Sex ed in the U.S. is kind of a joke. Take, for example, this clip from Tina Fey's
My dog's
Don't
cute
have sex.
till you annoy
You will
him.
get pregnant and die.
With the majority of U.S. students reporting they've had sex before graduating high school, the type of sex ed they receive is a big deal for themselves personally and for the economy. Direct medical costs of unintended pregnancy in the United States totaled at least $5.5 billion in 2018, a rise from the 2011 estimate of $4.6 billion. But there's been a debate spanning decades about what information to include in the curriculum.
We believe that sex education is an economic issue for the ability of giving young people the determination over their own decision making as it relates to family and sexual activity and behavior.
As a society becomes more diverse, it's ever more difficult
to have any sort of consensus on a subject like sex and sexuality because it's so deeply connected to our ideas about ourselves.
Keep up!
So the politics of this is complicated.
Most young people are getting something. They're just not getting very much sex education.
There is no national or federal mandate around sex education, and so what kids are taught in school varies by state, by county, even by state.
Only in sex ed is the sex ed teacher going to actually change how the kids behave out of school. And this needs to work.
So what does sex education mean for the economy? And what happens when some students are left behind? Sex education didn't become a part of the public school system until the early 20th century.
I'm a baby stepfather.
There was a panic in American cities about sexually transmitted diseases. Middle and upper middle class white men were patronizing prostitutes, who's been a conduit for STDs.
Infected prostitutes are being legally removed for cure and rehabilitation.
And were going home and infecting their wives.
There was a rise in reported cases of venereal disease among young people.
During the First World War, as more and more soldiers got infected with STDs, that the federal government started to sponsor efforts in sex ed.
Preventing the spread of sexually transmitted infections is one common goal of sex ed. Another is preventing unintended pregnancies, especially among teenagers. There are two general approaches to adolescent sex education. One is abstinence only until marriage, which is also called sexual risk avoidance. This curriculum teaches that abstaining from sex is the expected behavior for teenagers and frequently includes information about contraception options and other safe sex practices.
My name is Mary Ann Bozak. I'm the president and CEO of a national nonprofit called Ascend, and we support the sexual risk avoidance education. When you say the word abstinence only, it seems that it would be inferring that abstinence is the only thing we talk about in a sexual risk avoidance program. It's way more than that. It's very holistic and talks about lots of broader topics that impact a person's life.
The second curriculum is called Comprehensive Sex Education, which provides students with information about abstinence as well as safer sex practices such as contraception use and ways to reduce risk for contracting an STI. These programs may also include discussions of miscarriages, abortion, sexual orientation, and gender identity.
Those are the extremes. Most programs fall someplace in the middle.
The middle ground curriculum is usually called Abstinence Plus. These programs typically stress abstinence as the best way to prevent pregnancy and STI transmission, while also including information about contraception and condom use.
I think we all agree that very young adolescents ought not to be engaging in behaviors that could get them pregnant or cause them to have an STD. I think that really the divide on how do you get there? Do you get there by withholding critical information, or do you get there by providing the information and developing the skills that young people are going to need to stay out of risky situations?
The government doesn't set any requirements for sexual health education policy unless a program is receiving federal funding. That means each state sets its own policies, which leads to inconsistent curricula across the country.
I did a study that showed that even among Republicans, there was support for teaching practically every in sex education. When we've had controversy
I'm newer. Where are the bad guys at?